We wait just 30 seconds, then we will start. We already are in 35 participants. So, Claudina, be ready. We can start on time. As Lynn asked.
Hello, everybody.
Okay.
Yes,
okay.
I see we have already people from Finland, Mexico, Italy, Poland.
Poland? Okay. You're at home. Okay, I think that we can start. Thank you for your enrollment to this workshop organized by Lean Global Network. This webinar is about Hoshin Kanri and describes how it has been used in Crook, Italy as a management tool to drive many lean projects. Our welcome speaker is Claudina Kowieska. She actually works at Crook, Italy after 10 years of lean experience acquired in automotive and aerospace environments. Before starting the speech, some information for a better use of the webinar. We will have a 5-minute question at the end of the webinar. And if you have some question, please use the chat that you find on the session tab of the top right corner of your window. Okay, Claudina, it's your turn, you can go.
Yes, I feel ready. So hello everybody one more time. Today I have this short slot to try to explain to you how the lean journey started for Crook Italia back in 2017 and how we have accelerated our business thanks to Hoshin Kanri. So just to give you a small notion of what's Crook Italia. Crook Italia is actually a branch of Crook Group, which is a company in financial sector, existing on the market for over 20 years. And since 2015, we are present on Italian market. Ever since, we have grown in Italy from single person, single operational team to 300 people up until today. And since 2017, we have started our lean transformation, which has improved significantly our result in efficiency that actually you can see on this graph. So if you're asking yourself, is it worth to stay on this presentation? Let's just show you this. So this is the green line is our headcount that, as you can see, after initial ramp up has been quite stable over the time. At the same time, with the blue line, you can see our efficiency, which ever since 2018 has started bumping and continues to grow ever since. And even COVID hasn't stopped us. But let's go back for a second to 2017 and actually how Crook Italia was perceived. So Polish Stock Exchange has seen us as a copy-paste solution of Crook in Poland, where we are one of the top players. Our peers from the group has seen us as a happy team working in sunshine in Italy by the seaside. Italian market on the other side has perceived us as a Polish strongman. New employees has seen a company that could conquer the Italian market soon, while senior employees has seen processes, operations in constant construction and work in progress. While when I joined the company, I felt a little bit like a child in the candy shop, where I could choose where to start from, as candies for me are the problems. So my first biggest question when I joined Crook was, okay, which candy to take first, which problem to focus on? And in order to do so, before saying it's Hoshin Kanri, we needed to grasp the situation and understand actually where we are today, what are the key issues that we are facing. And one of them was, first of all, our processes. We were running them, we were somehow achieving operational results, but we still didn't have a clarity how the work was done. And we didn't have a clarity what the progress was and where we had some blockages. You have to imagine that when we are talking about services, you can't just see with your bare eyes that something is blocked, because usually most of the process is run in the system. And we were constantly feeling like we were walking in a fog because we didn't have yet developed the data analysis to visualize our workflows, to visualize where we are today, and to see leading indicators that could show us that we have some problems in the future. We could only see some lagging indicators that could show us that in the past we had some issues, and still we weren't capable to answer usually the second or third why we had the issue. Usually we were based on opinions. Third, but not the smallest issue, was that we had a completely new leadership team that was coming from different sectors and with different experiences, and we could and we were facing something called forming and storming phases of the team forming, where we actually didn't have an idea what were the connections between departments, and we started to see some silos creating. Not to take for granted, when you are making so many changes, this how we felt is like as if we had a really huge, great Christmas meal, like when we are at home with our grandmother. So we felt constantly overwhelmed by the amount of the change that was happening. At the same time, on a group level, we had our colleagues ready to help us, serving as this magnificent tools that they had already developed over the years. But we actually didn't have any more space to absorb them, as we can't absorb during Christmas dinner the delicious cake that our grandma made. So with all of these elements, this actually how this what could be the best solution for us, and if you observe it in your company, was actually firstly to try to put the focus on the right few things, to align the company direction. And this is where the Hoshin Kanri steps in, because Hoshin Kanri is actually a tool to set the direction of the company. It's somehow a navigation system where, like in Google Maps or in a TomTom, first thing you are trying to do is to set your destination. And in Hoshin Kanri, the first thing you do is setting the goal. Later on, you are choosing the way to achieve your goal. And this is the same in navigation, like when you are trying to choose from different routes, which one is the most applicable to you. Later, you're trying to build the KPIs to see, to monitor if your progress is as if you expected. And if something pops up, according to the PDCA cycle, and I hope all of you know it, that once you have a good plan, once you make a check during your journey with Hoshin Kanri and you see, okay, we have some issues. So in our KPI, we estimated we want to reach 1,000. We see we are at level of 800. We are asking ourselves why it happened. And if it's necessary, we just simply adjust our route. We just put some corrective actions and see if it works for us or not. And the Hoshin Kanri works the best in this case if you start working on the company goals at the board level, executive level, and gradually you're trying to cascade the goals at different company levels, reaching from the top to the bottom. At the same time, building different PDCA cycles where you would start reviewing the progress of the action, and at the same time, giving the space to people during the reviews to raise the problems and to make sure that there is bilateral communication happening between management and employees, supervisors and employees. One, to make sure that we are aligned, set priorities. Second, to show where the problems are and raise the problems level above. And this what can help you is once you are settling your goals, you start also setting your KPIs as I mentioned to you. And here it's important to understand what lags and leads are. So lag indicators are the indicators of the result. Usually this is the cash that you are having on your bank account, the final result. And usually you can just see it when it already happened. While leading indicators are process indicators that help you understand if in the future you will be able to obtain this result. And the way top management is monitoring mostly lagging indicators gradually in the organization, there are more and more observed leading indicators. This is what is important, that on the company level, you are trying to align the lags and leads, that you make sure that both vertically and horizontally in the organization, there is an alignment per value stream and later per business line. And what tools can you use to do so? So the good starting point if you want to build your Hoshin Kanri is the Hoshin Kanri planning matrix, where it looks complicated at first. We call it octopus in the company. Why? Because it has many legs, it has many layers. But on one page, this one shows you actually what's the connection between your long-term 3-5 years objectives to annual objectives, how these objectives are connected with macro initiatives, projects that you are having in the company, and through which indicators are you monitoring. As an addition to standard X matrix at the company level, we have also added a RACHI matrix, which shows you the responsibility. So who's the decision maker, who's bringing the input, who needs to be consulted and who needs to be informed, so that we create an alignment on the management level in the company to understand who contributes to which projects, who contributes to which and how objectives. And managers could later understand easily how are they contributing to the company goals. As a result, once you have the goals set at the macro level, your next challenge is to try to make sure that all of the company's layers are covered by the deployment. And how to do it, you would ask. I can tell you from my experience, you can't do it at once with everybody because it takes time. It takes also a lot of coaching, because when you are trying to deploy the Hoshin Kanri, you are not only deploying KPIs, you are not only deploying the goals, you are also trying to teach the management system, management team at first, how to identify the problems, and later how to coach their team members to identify the root cause of the problem. How to actually create this catchable moment, not to be based on the opinions just, but to be also based on the data. So in here, this is what I would recommend to you in terms of your culture and your change management strategy. Try to look at, have a little bit more situational approach. So look where you have more aware leaders of the possible change, people who already have capability to name the problems, who have already the capability to coach people, and try to engage them as first, because you can try to base it on singular teams. You can try to go from the top management and gradually by layers, or you can try to go through value streams. This is what I can tell you is, if you are trying to impose the knowledge on people, impose implementation in some departments which are not there yet, ready, they don't understand the value of Hoshin Kanri and of team meetings, it might be a struggle for both you and the team. This what has worked in Kruk Italia side was to have a team of managers who were working in value stream together, who started developing gradually, first at layer one, at the top level, together with executive, one Hoshin Kanri, so one Obeya room, where we had all the macro indicators, lagging indicators, and first connection leading indicators put together. And then gradually we started engaging people. Currently, the point where we reached is actually we have almost managed to have all of the organization engaged in Hoshin Kanri. I'm saying almost, because our organization is constantly growing. Thus, also our Hoshin Kanri needs are constantly growing. And this, what you can see, is not only vertical deployment, but also horizontal, so that the managers understand between themselves who's the client and who's the supplier in the process. This is an example of our meeting that actually here we have also some Polish colleagues helping us out, where you can see one of our boards. In the past, we used to have boards. Right now, thanks to COVID, we have digitalized our meetings, but it was just transfer from standing in front of the board to meeting on the Teams, and there was no impact on us. Actually, we see it as a better solution because we can see better the indicators. And this what actually can accelerate your Hoshin Kanri deployment, especially when you have a young team which not necessarily knows where to start from, is try to start a weekly Gemba or a Gemba every 2 months, or through your main operational process, through your main value stream that you are having in the company. Engage the managers and try to have your constant route and try to go and see with the management team actually what's happening. See what is today's situation, what are the problems people are struggling with, where do we need to put some focus, where priorities, decisions must be made. This Gemba for us was one of the biggest accelerators of our Hoshin Kanri deployment, where gradually we started aligning different team members, and it was the best coaching opportunity where we actually taught to the management team and later also to our subject matter experts how to coach people on the basic process questions, how to identify the problems, how to try to make basic 5 whys. For some of you, it might be taken for granted, but asking 5 whys in a consistent way and knowing which questions to ask is so difficult at the beginning. And lastly, the Gemba has allowed us to create common cultural background where we were aligned that it is okay to have problems. We know we are struggling, we are all learning, and we are all in this together. And the most important aspect is there was this showing of the respect. So we understood each other, that we are one team trying to face the issues, and whatever was happening, there was no judgment. And once you have the deployment done, on the annual basis, this is what you just start doing, is to review where you are and try to create a process of annual goals planning. So this is an example of how our process looks like on one pager. We actually start on August and it finishes somehow around January, when we try to grasp the situation. What are our strategical gaps? Later, from business perspective, we try to assess what are the macro challenges for the business. We are redefining what's the project initiatives portfolio. And later on, we are engaging the supporting functions to make sure that we are all aligned. And once we have the company goals done on the macro level, we start cascading and we make the change management communication to different company stakeholders, starting from the group board, finishing with our employees, where actually we take time to explain to them what does this goals mean to us and how can they contribute. One, it's explained by our management. Secondly, it's explained directly by their supervisors. And some of the results. So you are saying, okay, you just implemented a routine of organizing goals, of being aligned and having a common meetings all together. But how can this affect you? This is what I can tell you. For us, it worked. We have a constant recoveries increase ever since 2018. Even COVID couldn't stop us. And this, what you can see actually on this below graph, is at certain point we were forced to block some part of our processes. But if you have a robust process where you have worked on a standard, this process will ramp up once you restart it, because it was strong at the very beginning. There was a clarity on how the things would be done, and it was much easier for us to scale up the process. It's much easier to transfer the know-how. And also from one of the examples, is what you can see is how we have accelerated the lead time of some of the steps of the process. So we started with a lead time of over 6 months for activation of a new portfolio, and currently it takes us 1 month. So this is just our study case. And to summarize, what are the main outcomes that I would like to pass you today? First of all, for us, Hoshin Kanri worked, but have situational approach. Go on Gemba. If you want to start your lean journey, grasp the situation, identify what are the macro problems. Once you see what are the macro problems, if you see some problems that I mentioned to you today, like we don't have clarity, management is struggling to bring the goals together, probably Hoshin Kanri might be a good tool for you, but it doesn't need to be necessarily. So if you don't know, just reach out to the people who might know and try to talk it through with them. They can provide you guidance. Lean community is really open. Second of all, Hoshin Kanri is the navigation system. So the ultimate goal is to engage everybody and make sure that each team, every person knows how they contribute to the company goals and how to understand when the situation is going good and when the situation is going bad. Because if in Hoshin Kanri you don't have a good plan, in this case, it's tough to have a good check. So just please keep in mind that once you define the goals, make them tangible to people, make them achievable, time limited, and specific enough and measurable so that it is easy later on for them to understand, do we have a problem, and know when to raise the hand. Because this raising hand is the basis of Hoshin Kanri in this case. Once you give the goals, but people come back to you with the problems. So it's problem-centric, but also people-centric system where you are basing all of your outcomes on creating a team looking at the problems together. So you need the management team, which creates the change coalition, and make sure that all of the management teams are on board with the change, that they understand what's the value for the company, why the company is doing this change, because their role is critical. They are the leaders who on the daily basis will coach the team, and they will make all the effort to engage all of employees in continuous improvement. If this doesn't work at some levels and you have some isolated departments, they will stand out at certain point, and you will see that it's going to be your sensitive point, your fragile point that will put you in the weak point. So if you want to start your journey and do Hoshin Kanri, the books that I can recommend you and the starting point after grasping the situation, and if you are searching for the knowledge, is if you're struggling to identify the problems, I think Managing to Learn can be of help for a starting point. And if you don't know that much of what are the types of the problems, 4 types of problems by Art Smaller can be of help. There you can see also how you can see in type 3 problems, how to actually create Hoshin Kanri in terms of problem solving, how to create the workshops when you are working with the management. And last but not least, if you want to know more aspects, technical aspects about Hoshin Kanri and X-Matrix application, I recommend to you the Hoshin Kanri for the Lean Enterprise by Thomas Jackson. And if you have any questions, I'm ready.
Hi, Claudia, for your speech. We have 5 minutes more. So I know it is not easy to close our experience in 25 minutes. And I collect some questions. In the meanwhile, some of the questions you already asked. Mm-hmm. There are a couple of questions I will suggest. What is the biggest challenge in Hoshin Kanri, for your opinion?
So from my perspective, at first, it is the most difficult is to engage everybody, to make them understand that this is of value and that it is not something we do in addition to our daily work, but this is the way we are working, that this is our routine of understanding where we are. Yes,
and if I can suggest something more, Hoshin Kanri is good if people come to Hoshin Kanri without thinking they are losing time, but they are gaining time.
Totally true. Totally true, Marco.
When you reach this situation, you're okay. It is a communication tool. And for the books, you already suggested two excellent books at the end. So some people was asking where to start. We have at least a time for one more question if you want to use the chat. You already focused on Gemba walk importance, so we can go back to that.
I've seen a question from Mark Schaffer about the CEO. So, Mark, without a CEO, it's not easy. It's not easy because this is the main voice of the company. But here we are coming back to this situational approach and try to identify the strategy for the implementation. So you can try to do it without the CEO at first, have like a small coalition, some small core team who is more eager to do it, and later convince the CEO based on a good result of this team. So this is what I can tell you, but at certain point you will need the CEO to be on board because he's the one setting the direction.
Absolutely. No CEO, no management. Okay, some more question. First, Gamba, should be done with the CEO?
Yes, and actually this what I can add to Nirka's comment is, it is the best if CEO goes on Gemba and asks the question. Because when CEO asks the question, they are taken much more seriously than somebody from in my position, like lean expert, because this person is also directly engaged in the business.
He's learning to see.
Yes.
You teach the CEO to see what is good and where are others.
Yes, and he's setting the examples, and usually based on CEO, we want to take the example from the CEO.
Absolutely. If people can see the CEO working or doing something, it's not necessary to teach too much to people. They learn by examples.
And I also see last question from Hector. Are we using catchball technique? How results? So during our Hoshin Kanri meetings, we have the reviews of the indicators, and we are trying to brainstorm the problems. And this is for us our catchball, and we are parking the corrective actions. So yes, we have them sometime. Some Hoshin Kanri take place on a lower level twice a week, on the other on higher levels once a week or twice a month. And on the highest level, it's once a month. And catchball is working on us because between one Hoshin Kanri meeting and the other, usually a manager or we are assigning always when we identify a problem, a corrective action. And we have our cycle time between the Hoshin Kanri meeting to try to brainstorm, understand better what's the root cause, fix it if possible. If not, we are coming back during the next Hoshin Kanri meeting to have an update.
Okay, just to give a look to the polls. We prepare polls. How many of you are using Hoshin Kanri? We collected 17 votes yes, we are using, and 35, 9 votes, 32% we are not using up to now.
Okay, but I think it's already a good score. So
yeah, it's good. It's a good.
So if you have any more questions, you can reach out to me. I'm available to discuss more in details if you have some questions afterwards, or if you want to start your training and you actually need a hand to understand where to start from. And thanks for your participation today. Thank you, Marco, for introduction.
It's my pleasure. Okay, thank you for your participation. If any question, you have the email address of Claudina. Some of the people asked for a copy of the presentation. I don't know if it will be available on on this platform, or you can manage to give to them directly?
You can reach out directly, because as far as I know, it's not available.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. It's 17:30. Also from Italy, we are on time.
Yes, rarely happens, but happens. Maybe because I'm
It
Polish.
never happens that this in Italy. Is a good thing for us. Okay. Thank you very much for your participation. Bye bye.